morning to a bright and sunny new day, and we are continuing our trip down south. Weather should be good. Nice. Almost a little bit too bright. Oh la la. So we're turning right here. And see where our Google map is taking to.
Now, after 40 episodes behind us, the road still refuses to let us go. I still fondly remember when we rolled out of Saigon and carved our way toward the town of Con Tum, then followed the spine of the Ho Chi Minh Trail road all the way to the cold and foggy karst kingdoms of Ha Giang. From there, we pushed east until the salty, warm, and humid sea winds of Hai Phong greeted us in our last episode. And here we are, 3,800 kilometers later, having stitched together a journey through the lesser seen Vietnam. Remote mountain passes, border towns along the frontier belts, forgotten valleys of the Lao Cai region, and the quiet corners where life moves at its own special, slow rhythm. Now, with episode 41, we begin a completely new chapter. We turn the handlebars south again, not to repeat the past, but to deepen it. Every kilometer from here onwards will carry us through new provinces and remote areas not yet seen on our way up north, making this episode the start of our next frontier chapter, leading us toward our next destinations, which is the town of Ton Pho Nam Dinh and the city of Ton Hoa. As we ride out of Hai Phong, there is a certain feeling that lingers, something between salt on the skin and a memory that has not fully settled yet. This city greeted us with warm, humid winds and a rhythm that felt different from the mountains we had just come from. Hai Phong is not loud in the way Saigon or Hanoi is, nor is it mystical like the mountainous areas of Ha Giang. To put it simply, Hai Phong has its own pulse, steady and firmly balanced. It is a maritime city, and in certain parts of the city it can feel a bit weathered, but nevertheless, it is full of life. What will certainly stay with me are the contrasts. The old French facade standing quietly beside the restless port, the calm lakes tucked between busy streets, and the way this city seems to breathe. Even the mornings felt completely different here, the streets covered in soft light, fishermen already at work, the aroma of coffee and pho captivating my senses, and that unmistakable scent of the sea drifting through the narrow alleys.
So I can say with certainty that we left Hai Phong behind us. It's a fairly large city, yeah? Took quite a bit of time to get out, but we finally made it.
We also unmistakably leave with the impression of a place that does not try to impress us, yet somehow it did. Just remember the renovated opera house and the green flower belt, which transformed this city into interesting textures and tones that will stay with us even as we leave it behind. And so, Hai Phong has become another layer in our long journey, one more chapter stitched into the fabric of the 3,800 kilometers we have clocked up so far. As we roll slowly through this narrow stretch of road, the scene around us shifts into one of the most familiar rhythms of rural Vietnam. This is the typical market street, which is the kind of place that serves not just one village, but an entire constellation of surrounding communes, where people come together long before the sun has fully risen and stay until the twilight. Vendors line the roadside with baskets of vegetables still damp from the fields, fish glistening in metal trays, and bundles of herbs that release their fragrance into the warm air, with others displaying their household products for sale and transforming the surrounding area into a vivid play of colors. But it is the market vibes what is truly defining this place, making it the kind of street that tells us more about Vietnam than any monument or landmark ever could. It is truly a place where life unfolds in small gestures, simple exchanges, and the quiet certainty of the never-ending routine. This is the town of Chuan, a typical rural area of the Red River Delta, where rice fields and small canals define the landscape. The houses sit close to the roadside with the canal, and the daily routines of the village seems to be steady and practical, as it is mostly shaped by agriculture and long-established community habits. Riding through, we get a straightforward look at the everyday life in one of Vinh Bao's traditional communes with the school kids returning home from school on their e-bikes. As we now leave Hai Phong behind us and cross into the Thai Binh province, the landscape opens into one of the most traditional agricultural regions of northern Vietnam. Thai Binh is known as a major rice-producing area of the Red River Delta, shaped for centuries by farming, irrigation canals, and tightly knit rural communities. This province has a long history connected to early Vietnamese settlement, village culture, and the development of wet rice agriculture that still defines daily life here. Riding through this border, we move from a coastal-influenced region into a province where the fields, the waterways, and the steady routines of farming have created a distinct identity that continues to anchor northern Vietnam until today.
This is another Google Maps special. Okay.
We are currently traversing Thuy Son in the Thai Thuy district and are now fully inside the province of Thai Binh, one of the core agricultural regions of northern Vietnam. The area is shaped by flat fields, small hamlets, and a landscape dominated almost entirely by agriculture and water management. It gives us a very clear and direct look at the everyday environment that has defined the role of Thai Binh for centuries here in the Red River Delta.
Wow, I'm pleasantly surprised. The road is actually quite good here and the traffic is very light. Makes it less chaotic than I thought. And here we have another apartment complex with commercial area. Still a bit empty, but I think it will fill up in about a year or two.
What is this? Long Hong. This is just insane. like a palace. Okay, we now officially enter the city of Taipei. Look at this water.
As we move deeper into the province of Tai Ben, we are reaching now the city of Tan Pho Tai Ben, which is the provincial capital and lies at the center of the province. The city sits about 110 kilometers southeast of Hanoi and is connected by a network of highways that links it to the surrounding rural districts. Unlike many other major urban centers here in the northern parts of Vietnam, the city of Tai Ben seems to have a more measured pace, as it blends government buildings, markets, and residential neighborhoods with the surrounding agricultural zones, and creating a transition point between rural life and provincial administration. For travelers like us, it offers a straightforward look at how the Delta province organizes itself around both the past traditions and the more modern developments. Crossing now into Nam Dinh province, we enter a region in the southern part of the Red River Delta that is known as one of Vietnam's long-established cultural and historical centers.
So we top up our petrol and are ready to continue.
This area has played an important role for centuries, especially during the Tran Dynasty, whose royal homeland once stood in nearby Truc Mac. The province is also recognized for its strong Catholic communities, traditional craft villages, and a landscape shaped by rice fields, river systems, and flat coastal plains. And we just arrive at the Truc Lam Thien Truong Buddhist Center, which is a modern spiritual complex that was built in 2006, located just opposite the new Kung the Tao Ten Nam Dinh Sport Complex, and is home to massive bronze Buddha statues, large ceremonial halls, and landscaped grounds. It has become one of the province's major Buddhist landmarks and is complementing the older temples that define the religious heritage of the province of Nam Dinh. I also learned that just outside the provincial capital here lies Truc Mac, a ward that served as the ancestral home of the Tran Dynasty, which was one of Vietnam's most influential ruling families. Several Tran kings were born here, trained here, and later returned after abdication, and leaving behind temples, shrines, and historical sites that still define the area of today. And as we now ride through the city of Nam Dinh, which is also the provincial capital, we see how everyday life and centuries of national history sit side by side, a modern administrative center which is surrounded by the cultural layers that have shaped this province for countless generations.
That's the furniture heaven of Ninh Binh, near to Ninh Binh. All furniture, one after the other.
As we now cross the Kha Non Nuoc Bridge and leave Nam Dinh behind us, we enter the province of Ninh Ben, which is a region internationally known for its dramatic limestone karst formations and flooded cave systems. One of its most famous sites is Tam Kok, Bich Dong, which is part of the Trang Scenic Landscape Complex, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Tam Kok consists of 3 natural caves: the Hang Ka, the Hang Hai, and the Hang Ba Cave, which was formed along the No Dong River, the area where the boats travel through the scenic rice fields and limestone cliffs, and earning the area the nickname of the Halong Bay on land. Moreover, beyond its natural beauty, Ninh Ben also holds deep historical significance. The region is home to Hoa Lu, the 10th century ancient capital of Vietnam, and several temples connected to early dynasties, including the Tai Vai Temple of the Tran Dynasty, which blends the province's natural landscapes perfectly with the cultural heritage of the mountain pagodas like Bich Dong, where many historic shrines, and countless traditional villages sits among the karst valleys. Today, Ninh Ben remains one of northern Vietnam's most visited destinations. Known for its boat journeys through the Tam Kok caves, the panoramic viewpoints of the Mua Cave, and the wider Trang An complex, which is recognized by the UNESCO for its unique combination of geology, archaeology, and cultural history.
That looks almost like Tam Kok in Ninh Ben.
And as we are now traversing the very heart of northern Vietnam, where limestone mountains rise like ancient sentinels, we have here to our right-hand side the area of Vietnam's oldest forest sanctuary where the Cuc Phuong National Park lies. I learned that it is no ordinary jungle, but a living museum of time and Earth's history, where water carved the mountains and wind shaped the forest for over 200 million years. The karst terrain here stretches like a spine from Yunnan in China to the Gulf of Tonkin, where the famous Halong Bay is located, fractured, hollowed, and veined with caves that once sheltered some of our prehistoric humans and animals. Beneath the canopy, the silver clouds drift over the Maybach Peak, which is the highest point in the Cuc Phuong National Park, rising to 648 meters above the sea level, a sacred place where rare langurs leap through trees which are older than all the dynasties together. It is also the terrain where the earth breathes through sinkholes and subterranean rivers, as the frequent rains feeds the forest, and the forest feeds the soul, an area which is famous for countless medicinal plants and ancient fossils, and all this combined is making Cuc Phuong a geological symphony, a cradle of biodiversity, and a testament to Vietnam's deep time history. By now, we also crossed already into the Thanh Hoa province, and we could clearly notice the shifting of its landscape. The limestone mountains started to spread out, and the valleys are opening into wider agricultural plains. This province is also one of the largest in Vietnam, with nearly 4 million residents and a mix of lowland Kin communities and highland ethnic groups such as the Muong and the Thai. The road we follow now is the busy QL1A, which lead us through the terrain that was shaped by the same geological system that runs from Ninh Ben down toward the central coast. A long belt of limestone and folded mountains that continues all the way to the sea. Much of the western side of Thanh Hoa is mountainous, while the central region transitions into flat and fertile land which is fed by the Ma River. And as we get closer to the provincial capital city of Thanh Hoa, the environment also becomes much more urban. This city is the administrative and economic center of the province, connected to major industrial zones like the Ghi Sun, and is surrounded by historical sites such as the Ho Dynasty Citadel and the Lam Kin area of the Li Kings. Thanh Hoa is very well known for its mix of agriculture, industry, and coastal tourism, with the Sam Sun Beach being one of the most visited areas. So far, the road gave us a clear view of how diverse the region is: mountains in the west, which is on our right-hand side, then the plains in the center, and the coastline further east to our left. This region is not only a major transition point between northern and central Vietnam, but also a key geographic and cultural passage where landscapes, communities, and traditions begin to shift noticeably. And with this, we conclude our journey for today. Thank you for riding along and being part of this exploration. In our next episode, we will continue inside Tan Hoa City and take a closer look at the stories, the history, and the lesser-known details that shapes this place. I look forward to having you with me again as we uncover the untold secrets of this much underrated city, so best is to subscribe and not miss it. For now, cheers and good night.